Step one, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step two, get some good, some food in you. Step three, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step four, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Good morning, and welcome to Good Morning Crypto, where we turn your early hours in the morning into your edge in financial freedom. We've got CryptoBilly on here for our makeup. How you doing this morning, CryptoBilly?
Doing well, BC. How about you?
Well, I'd complain if anyone would listen, but it's a great morning so far. I started my morning off with some caffeine, and then I listened to Dave Ramsey make fun of internet personalities trying to give people fake advice on how they get wealthy. So,
That's a good one.
oh yeah,
I think you should be wealthy to be able to give advice on wealth. That's for sure.
oh yeah, and I mean his method's quite different than other people's method, but I really like his method where it's you can leverage debt in certain ways, but the whole goal of leveraging that debt is to pay off the debt. You're gonna have to go into debt for big purchases, but get that debt down as soon as possible so that you can stack that money and have it and invest it and have it grow for you. So I like that sentiment.
Yeah, I like most of his principles, but I don't think he's stayed up with the times, the technology, and I don't think he really even understands what staking would be, for instance. But the principles, they're Christian-based principles too, as well. And I really like like in financial planning school, a lot of what he teaches is the old school, just the 101 of financial planning. So it's for people that have zero knowledge. It's a great place to start, if you ask me.
Oh yeah, I definitely listen to the more modern ones as well. It's like you can't like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, it's broke a little bit, where there's you might want to start now in investing instead of at least just to ignore the 401k match to pay down all your debt, because inflation is way crazier than it was when Dave started his whole journey.
Right.
So that's definitely something he does not take into account at all.
Yeah. Old school methods. But hey, if you start with zero and you need a place to go and learn those principles, it's not a bad gig. It's kind of like Piper and I were talking about a couple of months ago. If you don't have a habit built, then Coinbase automatically weekly investing, just set it and forget it and let that go in automatically, is a beautiful way to start. But yeah, once you get familiar and you can flip it over to manually using the advanced feature and saving yourself a little bit of that spread, great. But just to get started, if you got zero knowledge and you want to start saving using Coinbase automatic sweep, just set it weekly. That gets you started in building that habit. And that is so critical, because most people won't build the habit, right? So to get them going, building the habit, then we can teach them how to finesse it and manipulate it for themselves. But trying to get them to build the habit, and Dave Ramsey's good. He can really help you get the habit going.
Oh yeah, that's where I really like that he takes into account that human element, as opposed to it's like, well, this is what the numbers say. Well, what about the people that don't take into account the numbers? And they're like, hey, well, this is emotionally how I'm feeling right now. How do I get from my emotional state right now to the emotional state of being wealthy? And he does a great job of taking that into account. So those
That's
habits,
awesome.
those habits are really where it starts.
Yeah. Our Tuesday space is going to be on manifestation. So manifesting. So tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be talking about a lot of that stuff, how to manifest your destiny. So it's going to be pretty cool because we're going to get into a lot of that stuff.
Well, I look forward to hearing that one. Do you want to be on screen when I go through getting everyone prepped for some success today?
If you want to take me down, because I want to go get another coffee real quick.
All right, sounds
I'll be
good.
right back.
All right, let's get you guys prepped for some success today. I've got the Bitcoin chart pulled up. Let's get that stock heat map pulled up because we did see some upside movements on the market yesterday. We are seeing a little bit of sell-off this morning though, preparation for some of today's data that we were talking about yesterday. We've got Apple sitting up 1%, sitting down 0.5% this morning, Nvidia up 1.92%, sitting up 0.05 this morning, so seeing some light buying pressure. We've got Berkshire Hathaway up 0.55, seeing some sell-off this morning, down 0.37. We got Amazon up 1.89 off of its close yesterday, seeing that selling pressure as well this morning, down 0.62. We've got Eli Lilly sitting down 1.44%, continuing to see that sell-off this morning, down 1.21%. We've got ExxonMobil up 0.32% and seeing some continued buying pressure this morning, up 0.61. We've got Tesla up 1.71, seeing a little bit of some sell-off this morning though, down 0.73. We've got Procter & Gamble sitting up 0.37 and seeing light selling pressure this morning, down 0.11. Microsoft sitting to the upside off of its close, 0.88, but seeing all of those gains go away this morning in the pre-market, down 0.97. Google sitting to the upside off of its close, up 1.71. Looking to the downside this morning, 0.62, and we've got Meta up 2.82%. Looking a little bit towards the downside this morning, down 0.42. Hopping over to the crypto side of things, got a lot of red there this morning as well. Bitcoin sitting down 0.6%. We've got Ethereum down 0.2%. We've got XRP up 0.8%. BNB up 0.3%. We've got Solana down 3%. We've got Tron sitting up 2.1%. Doge sitting down 2.7%. We've got Cardano down 3.1%. We've got Hyperliquid as a big loser in the top 20 right now, sitting down 8.4%. We've got SWI down 4.9%. We've got Bitcoin Cash sitting up 3.3%. Chainlink down 2.1%. Leo token down 0.6%. Seeing a little bit of green on that hourly. Got Stellar Lumens taking a spot from Avalanche in that market cap, down 1.3%, while Avalanche is down 3.7%. We've got TON down 0.9%. Shiba Inu down 3%, and Litecoin taking back that top 20 spot from HBAR and the market cap, sitting down 1.1%. For the fear and greeds this morning, we have the stock market sitting at 62 and some light greed still. Crypto side of things up 7 points as we're making a little bit of some downside movements. Looking to see if we can hold some support at a level we had talked about yesterday, sitting at that 68 and greed. We are looking like we're grabbing some of that bottom side liquidity right now. We had talked about it yesterday. We've got that starting at $106,000, ranging all the way down to about $105,800 for the daily chart here. We do have a little bit that is starting to stack up on the top side. This 3-day also looking quite similar. We've got a lot of liquidity on the bottom side here. That's that $104,000 mark all the way down here to about $103,700. Zoom this on out just a little bit more. Take a look at that 2 week. That 2 weeks got that top side liquidity that we can grab after we clear out some of that shorter term time frame liquidity that is on the bottom side. That's going to be back up at the highs of $111,000. Let's hop over to the economic calendar. Get through that real quick. We did talk about a lot of this yesterday, but today's heavy data drop is going to be that import export prices. We've got retail sales month over month, excluding auto as well. We've got, scrolling on down just a little bit, business inventories month over month at 10 a.m. and the housing market index as well, looking to be a slight increase on that. Scroll down just a little bit more. We get from Japan this evening at 7:50 Eastern Time, that balance of trade, import and exports, and machine orders month over month. So that's going to be that big market mover for the Asia trading zone. Let's hop over to that Bitcoin chart and say good morning to the people. I see CryptoBilly in the chat saying good morning to everyone. Good morning to you, CryptoBilly. You know, just had to say it. You're always in those chats. We've got K Diggity in the house. Good morning to you. We got Eric Wallen in here. I don't see you in here early very often, so I'm glad you're here. Glad you're participating in that chat. I saw you said I gave up on buying debt and bought Bitcoin instead. Well, that Bitcoin might pay off your debt there, Eric Wallen. We got Blue Collar Trader in here. Good morning to you. We got Jay Violet coming in from Australia. Good evening to you, madam. Hope you're having a great day. We've got quite a bit of lurkers in the background, so good morning to all you lurkers. It looks like Jesse needs sleep and Jesse's getting sleep, so maybe we see him in a little bit. Let's scroll this on, zoom this on in so you can see that Bitcoin chart just a little bit better here. We talked about wanting to see Bitcoin hold up a level on a higher term time frame, and that was at 106,800 point. We said that if we dipped below it, we'd probably come back all the way to $106,000. Oh, my chart just refreshed there. There we go. $106,000 is that point we're kind of looking at to potentially see a little bit of a hold up on the price. We do have all of this liquidity that is residing right below the lows of this range though. So that's that next area to kind of keep your eye on. We could see some nice support coming in at the 50% line on our fib extensions here. That's a 103,300, and it's sitting below the bottom side of all of that liquidity that was on the bottom of that 1 week chart, where we saw all of that liquidity ranging from 104,000 to about 103,800. So that's that area to kind of watch for if we don't hold up this $106,000. You've got this 4-hour chart looking a little bit toppy as your MACD's getting that rollover here, starting to get to that point where you might see a red candle print on our histogram. As our prime oscillator has those overbought signals flashing, reversal signal flashing, headed back towards the downside as that money flow just dipped into the red and our volume continues to slow down quite a bit. So looking like some continued sell-off into this day. We do have that 1 hour looking quite similar, where your MACD is already to the bottom side of our indicator line here, looking across the zero line as we're printing some red candles here on the histogram. Prime oscillator getting towards the bottom here, so we could potentially see that bouncing coming in as we dip below that $106,000 mark. Doesn't mean you might not see some brief bounces along the way, but I am looking for that bottom side liquidity sweep. Let's zoom this on in, take a look at a 15-minute and see what the morning might be bringing our way, and then get into some building on ADA with CryptoBilly here. We do have that prime oscillator still sitting in the red as money flow continues to come out on the 15-minute, and your volume continues to slow down here. So we will be watching that morning money flow here as we start getting closer to that bottom side liquidity. That's going to be that $104,000 point where we really want to see if that money flow starts coming back in, get that nice little push back up towards 106,000, and then really sweep that bottom side liquidity with some strength with how that 4-hour chart was looking, and that would give that 1-hour chart a little bit of some cool off as it is getting a little bit towards the bottom side on things. All right, there. Let's hop back over to that duo screen and dive into some of that building on Cardano. I know we tried to last time, so I'm glad it's all working this time, Billy.
Yeah, man, me too. Absolutely.
All right. Well, I did have that first question I wanted to get into. I know there's a lot of projects to choose from in the crypto space. Why, of all the projects, did you lean on ADA to start building your community on?
Yeah, great question. So we all have our own crypto journey. And when I began my crypto journey, I just happened to get swept up into a group of folks that were more heavily Cardano. And so at the beginning of that journey, you meet people and the beginning of my journey was a lot about NFTs. So I kind of got in, I bought my original crypto, but when I came in to really like say, what is this all about? I really came in on the NFT side of things, believe it or not, because I do a lot of art. And I thought it was very cool that as an artist, you can preserve your art in a digital form one time. And it's always on the blockchain, always proven it's yours, always numbered. So I came in with that interest in mind. And it kind of got swept up in the Cardano side of things. Met a lot of these guys are project owners now. Many projects on Cardano. A lot of these guys were in our little groups as we started. And so by being exposed to Cardano, I started using the blockchain. So I started using MinSwap. I started using the JPEG store, which is where they put their NFTs as opposed to say OpenSea. I started using all of the components that you need to have a Cardano token, and then you want to buy other ADA related tokens, checking on different wallets, how to check on Cardano wallets in the ADA protocol, Pool PM, where you can go in and it's a website and you can see everybody's wallet, all the NFTs they have in a nice format. You just start using different layers of this thing, of the blockchain, and you become comfortable with it. And of course, they're known for their security. They're known as a great layer one for security. Back then, they were known even more so than today for building nice and slow and methodically and not being about the hype. ETH on the east side before Solana, it was the Bored Apes kind of thing, and it was all this hypes. Cardano was always seemingly about just good, practical, safe building. And so when we got to our place that we were going to launch an NFT, to me, there's just no other place to do it. We could have done it for like just cash, right? Solana was hot, right? Everybody has a Phantom wallet. Everybody probably it would have been so easy to buy compared to Cardano, because a lot of the folks that own our NFTs, we had to actually show them, they had to download a Vesper wallet, right? They never really used the Cardano blockchain. But for us, it wasn't about that. It was about our project, and it wasn't about, hey, we got to make a ton of money on this. It's about, hey, get into own our NFT. It's going to give you all of our benefits for our ecosystem down the line. But don't sell it. We're not saying it's going to go up in price or anything like that, So we just came into it with a different mindset, and Cardano was the perfect fit for us.
Yeah, so ADA aligned more with those values. I do think if you had built that on Solana, you might have got a little more ease on that. But then
Yeah.
it also would have seemed like a little more of a sketchy project where
Right.
people would have been like, so when do we sell? And it's like, no, no,
Right.
no. Keep this forever and stay in the ecosystem. And Ada does a great job of that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
with that value that I touched on a little bit, how have you seen Ada and the Ada space really align with those values of the giver's gain mentality?
I don't know that Cardano in of itself as a protocol and a layer one is necessarily aligned.
Well,
No different.
I mean the
Yeah.
people in the space, like your Ada Aces and
Oh
stuff like
yeah,
that,
yeah.
adopted that whole the original ethos of crypto, where it's giver's gain, where I'm in here for freedom and I want as many people to be free as I can.
Right. Yeah, and so defining giver's gain that way, absolutely. I mean, the Cardano people, all of the project owners that kind of grew up with me through this, they're just good people, man. I've met many of them in real life, and you get this a friendship and a comfort zone, and they all are really really good human beings, and that does add another layer of that good feeling, that safety feeling that, hey, you can lean on these guys that came a little bit before you. A lot of these guys open up their projects a year, 6 months, 2 years in some cases before I did, before our team did. So we can rely on them. But yeah, man, the whole givers gain ethos in Cardano, it's true. All these projects kind of have their little tribes, right? And for Charles Hoskinson, and I met Charles a couple of years ago too. That was another thing. Way before we
Yeah.
built our before we built Billy Goat Tails. Well, the company was set up, but we didn't have, the NFT project or anything like that going on. And just the friendliness of Charles. And he came into our space too and blew us up right at the beginning. And it was almost like a God thing to me, man. It was like we're starting to do these Billy Goat Tails X spaces. And like the sixth or seventh space, Charles just happens to come into our space and put like 8,000 people in there to expose us. Um, it wasn't, it just seemed to happen, BC. And it was another sign and signal to me, that this is the right thing to do. And a lot of people say, happen circumstance, sure, but I always believe things happen for a reason. And just the way it all kind of unfolded, it just was meant to be. And when I met him and talked to him, he was so friendly. He gave me some advice in the Cardano ecosystem, which turned out to be exactly right. Um, which was they're launching Intersect at that time, and they were getting ready to go through this whole hard fork, and they're launching their governance protocol, and to be a part of that, because it's before the chain hard fork, and of course before Plowman, which is their update now, and they were at that time getting ready to launch a Voltaire, which is their errors. They have epochs of different, as Cardano develops, they have these errors, these epochs that they say we're going to do all this stuff during this epoch, right? And so he kind of laid that out and kind of showed me where they were at in their whole timeline, and that we're still early, and to get involved with that. And it just seemed like it was a good fit, man. Just seemed like everything happened for a reason.
Oh yeah. I really like that the names that he chose for those epochs of men from the Enlightenment. He chose quite a few interesting names on that. I was definitely tuned in on that Voltaire update, and I like the fact that the further that he gets into these epochs, the more it is about having the people in the ADA community in charge of the ADA ecosystem, and it kind of gets away from the way that ETH is run, where it's like, hey, ETH was a very big project, but the further and further it gets in there, the more and more centralized it gets, as opposed to ADA. The further and further you get away from its creation, the more and more decentralized it gets.
That's right. And it was very important to Charles to make it that way. And, you know, during those years, which was only a couple years ago, but during those time frames, nobody, Charles was the only one that kept pushing governance, governance, governance. I mean, you had these community members that were talking about, no, we need marketing, we need advertising, we need things to technical upgrades first that make this easier or that easier. And Charles held his ground through all of his posts. As you're watching this, as just as a community member unfold, he stayed strong with the governance has to be first because he saw what other people couldn't see, which was, look, when you turn this over to the people, then they can have roles. They can have the DAO. You can assign these roles. And then from those roles, all this stuff that you guys are talking about will be able to happen through governance. And governance just wasn't sexy, man. It just didn't sound as sexy, right? So he stayed true to that. And I think it's done very well for the Cardano ecosystem. And again, that logical mind that I can relate to, there's a reason why. It's just not, oh, we're doing this, we're going to make more money. There's a reason behind it. And it's not based in making profit. It's based in logical, good business, sound reasoning and for the people. And I love that.
Oh yeah, Ada is definitely the opposite of a flashy project. I know.
Yes.
It's gotten a lot of flack for that too,
Right,
where they're like,
right.
"Oh, well, why would I use Ada when Solana's everywhere and it's
Mhm.
quick and it's cheap?" And it's like Ada's just as cheap though. Like if you really get down to it, Ada's just as cheap. It might be a little bit slower, but it's got a whole lot of security on that. Where if you know something was built on Ada, they're probably not trying to rug you because it was extremely hard for them to build that project on top of there.
And before Solana, we could say as ADA folks that why would you use ETH when you can, spend less than one ADA? And at that time, ADA was at 25 cents. Spend less than one ADA to do a transaction. And just what this year, was it this year? Because we're already in June. I want to say maybe January when they were out in Vegas. Um, Cardano did 1 million transactions per second and proved it with that gaming center out there. Redman actually was out there when that all went down. Charles was there. So they really have been working on upgrading the chain with all these hard forks and all these nodes. There's a lot of these nodes are like the newest node was all about scalability. So, and that just happened. There's another one happening June 25th as well. So they just keep building, man. And if you look at the devs, there's a website out there that has like the listing of devs. There's always Cardano's right up there, always leading. I think last month or the month before, they led the amount of devs working on their projects versus all the other chains. So that gives you some indication of where the action is behind the scenes as well. But anyways, those are the reasons we like Cardano. It's more I was inculcated into that early on, and it just became part of the project and protocol that I love.
So with that building on top of Cardano, because it has that some of those same values that you kind of want in your crypto project, was there some difficulties and hurdles that you had to get around, over, through, under, when building your NFT project and launching the Billy Goat Tales book as an NFT?
Yeah, and there's lots of layers to that. So we were the first, and I put that challenge out there, and we were the first. Our little teeny project, like Billy Goat Tales, we were the first to record, 30 X spaces Okay, so there's lots of people that's recorded X Spaces. Okay, but then 30 X Spaces with 170 speakers on personal development, and then take that and turn that audio into an NFT book. So on the Cardano blockchain. So nobody's done that. There's lots of NFT books, but in the Cardano world, we were the first to take those, record those 30X spaces, convert them to print, and then put them into an NFT book on the Cardano blockchain. And so we didn't even know that we were setting history or making history and doing that. We just thought it was a cool idea to take the wisdom of our community. So our speakers come up, we throw out a title, they talk about that title, what it means to them, and we had community members telling us what that means. What does emotional intelligence mean to you? What does honor mean to you? And so we have feedback from the community members and in this book now, right? And we also have great creators that came in and weighed in. You know, Army Piper weighed in, of course. Lifer, Charles Hoskinson. We had at the time we were doing all kinds of different invites out to different creators. So we had a lot of people, Lifer, Miss Teen Crypto, Crypto Crow, a lot of the creators came in and weighed in as well, as also did some of the project founders. And so we didn't know all the work that went into that. And shout out to the Billy Goat Tales team, right? So Tony, I always call Tony Biomex like the gearbox behind Billy Goat Tales, right? But converting that, we used a lot of AI. So we had to go out and figure out what was the best apps to convert this, to take it from audio to print. And then from there, we went through 3 different rounds of editing for that. And then from there, even Alex O Crypto's, his wife, Amy, we sent a few chapters to her to manually edit for us. She did that for us, just community helping community. I had my family involved a little bit. You know, my daughter helped us proof and edit. And then, of course, we had to reach out to an artist and find an artist. And luckily, my connections in the ETH and the whole art scene at the very beginning of my journey helped me there. But I reached out. I could have done the art myself, and I really thought about it because I like doing art, but I didn't want that to weigh us down and have me working on that when, you know, I had to write the metadata. So I ended up writing my first metadata while Tony and the team was working on proofs and edits and connecting with other Cardano people. We had to hire a dev. So Tony and I was doing all the conversations back and forth. And I would say Tony did 60% of, once I got the connections made, you know, with the devs, then, you know, Tony would jump in, ask a lot of questions behind the scenes. People don't know what it takes. It takes a lot. So the team was always helping us build this vision of launching this. And so we made some mistakes. We learned from the mistakes. But we made some great connections, and our launch was seamless. I mean, I just was in a community last week, big, huge NFT project, very well funded, great brand, great people. But you know, come mint day, they had all kinds. They had to push their mint, like they pushed it like 4 times because of, you know, just the complications that could occur on mint day. And so ours on Cardano, seamless. I mean, it was just seamless. We tested and retested. Sure, we had people that didn't know that they needed a Cardano wallet, right? But that had nothing to do with the actual mechanics of the data and reading it. And we had to build our own book reader too. So once we created this NFT book, that you get this NFT in your wallet, well, how do you read it? Right. So we had to create our own book reader that's on our website. So if you go to billygoatales.io and you just click on the icon book reader, it reads your NFT that's in your wallet. It opens those chapters up and it just like a book reader, right? So we had to have our devs build that too. And all of that was just amazing. Just doing it, right? I always say take action. You want it, you got this dream. It's everybody has a dream, everybody has an opinion, but take action. And we took action, man, and we built this really cool thing. And over the years, the next few years, we believe it's just going to be the cornerstone of everything that we're going to do. And as we grow and people learn more and more about that, I think they'll buy one here and there, and that's what it's there for.
Yeah, I've quite enjoyed watching that go from you recording all of those X spaces. I tuned into a few. You're uh, doing those way later in the night than
Yeah.
my bedtime allows. So a lot of the time I tune in later. But it was quite interesting to watch those start off as X spaces and then you turn those into NFT projects. And now anyone can just have that in their Cardano wallet. I didn't know that you had to build a whole reader for it. I did drop that link to billygoattales.io in the chat. So if you want to take a look at that, go ahead. Links in the chat.
Thank you.
Quite a clean website too. I like that picture y'all got from Bitcoin 2025.
And Jimmy Jim, right? So Jimmy Jim's on our team. Just to go over our team, you have Tony Biomex, you have Redman, you have Jimmy Jim, and then you have Dave Digital, or we call him Dave Digital, head of our digital production, right? So Jimmy Jim owns Cam's Blue Wire. He's very much involved in IT and everything to do with that. So like setting up a team that has different responsibilities and has different competencies and experience. I couldn't do it all by myself. It takes a team to do it all. And like our videos, so I record motivational mindset, right? And I record it and then I put it in a file and I send it over to Tony, and then Tony runs it through CapCut, adds the words to the bottom, and does the final editing. And our whole focus is to do this efficiently as possible. We don't want this thing to eat up a lot of time. So of course there's a learning curve on how to use a given program, but once you become efficient with that little program, we want it to be minutes. Just everything, we want it to be minutes. So we're even behind the scenes working with the AI group right now. That is the whole purpose of meeting with them and having them for us to be a customer of theirs is to save time, make it efficient. So we're trying to always be as efficient, because when I reached out to different YouTubers, and of course I worked behind the scenes with Sin City for over 2 years, right? Booking all their guests and reaching out to all of their sponsors and stuff like that. I learned, talking to those folks, it's the time management of running a YouTube channel. And if you can get that down to make it very efficient, you can do it very, very successfully. As you know, or maybe they don't know, but Dave and Rob, they work at Hell's Kitchen full time. They have full time jobs, and look what they're doing on the side, let's call it. But that's become just a huge business for them with their studios. So, but to do that, you have to be very, very efficient. And so we're always trying to carve out time, trying to make it as streamlined as possible from a business side, so that it's just not killing everybody and people don't get burnt out and things like that.
Oh, yeah. People definitely discount how much time it takes to do X spaces and have a YouTube show, and then also on the ground floor building a project. It takes a lot of time, like way more time than anyone really thinks when you're first diving on in. They're like, yeah, I can be a YouTube creator. Oh yeah, I could do this project, and then they're like, wait, I didn't realize it was gonna be all of this. It's like, yeah, it's a lot more work. So I commend all of you for the jobs that you do, both on the crypto side of things and still out there mining your fiat to keep things going. So it's a lot of work.
Yeah, I was blessed to be able to have a looking glass window. I started with Frankie, and really the birth of Billy Goat Tales. It was birthed out of Frankie Candle's Discord or his channel. Um, and but to be a part of a lot of the behind the scenes stuff with different channels, it gave me a looking glass window into how things operate and what you have to do to be successful, and it showed me some things not to do too, right? So, or that I would do differently, right? And so doing your research before you launch a business is in real life, in the Web3 space, you really have to have a business plan. You really should have a bit, like, you can do it without a business plan, but if you want to be successful, have milestones, get there quicker than most, you really have to put that work in up front. And so, there was years of, basically, in some ways, I didn't think about it like this at the time, but in some ways there was years of research um, that allowed us to kind of even begin to launch this thing. So I know we're pushing the time, and
Oh
so
yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah. We've got about 4 more minutes. I did have one more question.
Okay.
If you were going to do this project from start all over again, with the knowledge you have now, is there anything that you would do differently?
Oh yeah. Some of those things I can't say out loud, but yeah, of course, there's always mistakes. There's always things that you would do differently. There's no doubt about that. One of the things, like for instance, we decided to launch our children's books as part of our plan from the beginning, that we're going to write children's books. We're going to, Billy Goat Tales is going to impact children. We're going to ramp them up safely into crypto. And that we said that each author or each team member would write a children's book. I would write the first one, and then we'd just go in order down the line. Well, I never wrote a children's book. There's a lot to that. There's a lot to it. And so I hired a third party team. They were absolutely horrible, absolute junk, man. And even to this day, it eats at me. It eats at me so badly that I made such a bad decision. I did research, I checked reviews, I did the things that you're supposed to do, but it just turns out it was horrible. And so when we launched the second book, which is Jeff's book, we took all that in house. So we basically Jeff wrote the story, and we learned certain things through the first book, and we took it all in house. And Jeff did hire or not hire, but got his graphics from a different place than I did, and his graphics, his illustrations, way better. And I use that third party. So as these children's books unwind, they're going to get better and better and better too, because of our learning curve. But that would be one. I would not use that team that I used for my first children's book. But hey, it's part of the learning curve.
Yep, you live and you learn. So we'll definitely have you back on to talk a little more about that Billy Goat Tales ethos and how your projects go in. Get updates when you do that third children's book. I know we had Redmond on when we were doing when he launched that second book. So I love keeping up with what you guys are doing over at Billy Goat Tales.
Thank you, BC.
So, speaking of that, we've got the morning motivational mindset video starting here in a minute. You will be forwarded directly over to that when this video ends. But make sure to tune into the rest of the shows here on the Piper Academy. We've got that morning market report at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We got Piper and OC to break down all of that heavy data that I talked about at the beginning of the show. We've got Trading with OC at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, a great place to learn how to do your charting. And we've got Markets After Dark with Lunar Beaches Crypto at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. You got anything you want to leave the people with?
No, just go out and have a blessed day. Hopefully it's not raining where you're at. It's been raining for a week where I'm at. So, or maybe you need rain. I don't know, but have a blessed day.
We could use some rain here. It's been extra dry, but no. We'll see y'all in the morning motivational video here in just a second. I dropped the link towards the Billy Goat Tales X Space tonight. It's in the chat. Go ahead, check that out, and I will see y'all at the next one. Make sure to wake up because today's going to be a good day.